For over a century, the name Boeing has been synonymous with aviation. This company has been a symbol of innovation and excellence in the airplane industry, creating planes that have changed how we travel and do business. From warplanes used in World War II to commercial jets carrying millions of passengers every year, Boeing has played a huge part in the history of flight. They're giants, a huge company, the heavy hitters of engineering. With massive production facilities and a team of dedicated engineers, Boeing has created some of the most advanced and reliable aircraft in the world. Each plane that rolls out of their factory is the result of thousands of hours of hard work and innovation. From the beginning of commercial flight to the jet age, Boeing has always been there, pushing boundaries and connecting the world. They've helped make the world a smaller place, allowing people to travel to places that were once unreachable. Their planes have been the backbone of the commercial airline industry, carrying passengers and cargo all over the globe. They built iconic planes like the 747, the jumbo jet that made international travel affordable for many. The Boeing 747, with its double-decker design and huge passenger capacity, has become a symbol of technological advancement and luxury in air travel. This plane changed how we think about flying, making it more comfortable and accessible for everyone. But even giants can stumble, and in recent years, Boeing has fallen. Problems started to emerge when a series of incidents and accidents began to reveal weaknesses in the company's design and management. Public trust started to waver, and a reputation built over decades began to crumble. This isn't just about a few bad planes, folks. This is a deeper, more complex issue. It's about how a huge company can lose its way and its focus, ignoring basic principles of safety and quality for the sake of short-term profits. It's about a company wrestling with fundamental problems. From technical issues to management problems, Boeing faced challenges they'd never seen before. Their engineers and managers had to work hard to find solutions and regain public trust. It's about a company culture that seemed to prioritize profits over safety. A sad story for anyone who's ever seen a documentary about, well, almost anything. When profits become the main priority, safety and quality are often ignored, and that's what happened at Boeing. The consequences of these missteps were devastating. Two tragic crashes involving the 737 MAX shattered public confidence and led to the entire fleet being grounded. The families of the victims and the public demanded answers and accountability from Boeing. Two tragic crashes involving the 737 MAX destroyed public trust and got the entire fleet grounded. Investigations revealed serious problems with the plane's design and testing. Problems that could have been avoided if Boeing had been more careful and responsible. Investigations revealed systemic problems, from flawed designs to questionable regulatory oversight. This showed that the problems at Boeing weren't just technical issues, but deeper cultural and managerial problems. The once mighty Boeing, the gold standard of aviation, was suddenly facing a major crisis. The company that had once been an industry leader was now fighting to save its reputation and get back on track. And then, when things couldn't get any worse, the COVID-19 pandemic hit. The pandemic had a huge impact on the airline industry, with many airlines forced to halt operations and demand for new planes plummeting. Airlines worldwide were grounded, demand for new planes dried up, and Boeing, already reeling from the 737 MAX disaster, was pushed to the brink. The company faced a double challenge, rebuilding its reputation and surviving a global crisis. The company that once soared high above the clouds was now fighting for survival. They had to find a way to overcome their internal problems, regain public trust, and adapt to the new reality brought on by the pandemic. Boeing's future depended on their ability to learn from their mistakes and rise again. In 2018 and 2019, two brand new Boeing 737 MAX planes crashed just months apart. These accidents shocked the world of aviation and sparked widespread fear among passengers and airlines. These crashes not only took the lives of hundreds of people, but they also revealed serious weaknesses in modern aviation safety systems. Lion Air Flight 610 and Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 both nosedived shortly after takeoff, killing everyone on board. Both flights suffered the same fate, with the planes suddenly losing control and plummeting to the ground within minutes of taking off. These tragedies left deep scars on the families of the victims and the global aviation community. 346 lives were lost in total. Each life lost carried a story, hopes and dreams that were shattered. Memorial services were held around the world with families and friends gathering to remember their loved ones. This grief and loss were felt by many, and the world mourned with them. The world watched in horror as the tragedies unfolded and fingers quickly pointed at Boeing. The investigation was damning. Global media reported every development, and public pressure mounted to find the exact causes of these crashes. Press conferences were held, and experts began investigating every aspect of the plane and its systems. A new automated flight control system known as MCAS was identified as the main cause of the crashes. The MCAS, designed to improve the plane's stability, turned out to have a fatal flaw. In certain situations, this system could activate unintentionally and cause the plane to nosedive without warning. This system, meant to prevent the plane from losing lift, was prone to malfunctioning, forcing the plane into a fatal dive. Pilots, unprepared for this situation, were often unable to regain control of the aircraft, resulting in the tragic crashes. Flight simulations showed just how difficult it was to overcome this malfunction in an emergency. Even worse, it became clear that Boeing knew about the potential dangers of MCAS, but chose to prioritize profits over safety. Internal documents and memos showed that there were concerns about this system, but business decisions overruled safety considerations. This sparked public outrage and tarnished the company's reputation. They rushed the plane's production, downplayed the risks, and failed to adequately train pilots on the new system. The consequences were swift and severe. Pilots were not given sufficient training to handle MCAS malfunctions, leaving them unprepared in emergency situations. The rushed production also meant that some safety issues may have gone undetected or ignored. The 737 MAX, Boeing's best-selling plane, was grounded worldwide. Airlines around the globe were forced to halt operations of these aircraft, causing major disruptions in flight schedules and significant financial losses. These planes remained parked on the tarmac, awaiting further decisions from aviation authorities. Orders were cancelled, lawsuits piled up, and Boeing's reputation was shattered. Airlines cancelled their orders for the 737 MAX, and lawsuits were filed by the families of the victims and other affected parties. Boeing's reputation, once considered a leader in the aviation industry, was now at rock bottom. The company was forced to face a harsh reality. Their pursuit of profit had resulted in a terrible human cost. Protests took place outside Boeing headquarters, and the company's CEO had to face tough questions from the media and the public. Emotional testimony from the victims' families highlighted the human impact of poor business decisions. The 737 MAX crisis wasn't just a public relations nightmare. It was a full-blown ethical and engineering disaster. The incident sparked widespread debate about ethics in business and the importance of safety in the aviation industry. Engineers and executives around the world pondered the lessons to be learned from this tragedy, hoping to prevent similar events from happening in the future. The 737 MAX crisis showed some deep problems within Boeing. It wasn't just about a technical malfunction. It was about how the company was run and how its internal culture developed over many years. Many reports and whistleblowers described this culture as toxic. These whistleblowers revealed intense pressure to meet tight deadlines, often at the expense of safety. It was a culture that prioritized speed and cost-cutting over safety and good engineering. Engineers were often forced to work under a lot of pressure, with little time to make sure every detail was checked properly. Profits soared while safety concerns were silenced. Financial reports showed big profit increases, but behind those numbers there were serious worries about flight safety. For years, warning signs were ignored. Engineers who raised concerns were often disregarded or even punished, creating an environment where people were afraid to speak up. Engineers voiced concerns about the 737 MAX's design, but their concerns were ignored by managers under pressure to keep up with Airbus, Boeing's main competitor. These managers were often more focused on beating the competition than on making sure their product was safe. Cost-cutting measures were put in place, safety features were treated as optional extras, and a culture of complacency emerged. This created a situation where safety was often seen as something that could be compromised. This rush mentality spread throughout the entire organization, from the factory floor to the executive suites. Everyone from factory workers to top executives felt the pressure to move quickly and cut costs. The drive to maximize profits overshadowed everything else, creating a culture where safety took a back seat. Corporate meetings were often more focused on how to increase profit margins than on how to improve safety. The 737 MAX tragedies weren't just the result of one faulty system, they were the tragic consequence of a company that had lost its way. It's a warning to the aviation industry and other big companies about the dangers of ignoring a healthy, safety-focused company culture. As if the 737 MAX crisis wasn't bad enough, the COVID-19 pandemic dealt another heavy blow to Boeing and the entire aviation industry. In early 2020, as the virus spread across the globe, air travel came to a screeching halt. Borders closed, flights were cancelled, and planes were grounded. The demand for new planes vanished overnight. Boeing, already reeling from the 737 MAX disaster, now faced a crisis unlike any it had seen before. Airlines, struggling to stay afloat, were in no position to buy new planes. Orders were cancelled or postponed, and Boeing's production lines slowed down. Thousands of jobs were lost, and the company's financial future looked increasingly uncertain. The pandemic exposed just how vulnerable Boeing had become. The company's heavy reliance on the 737 MAX, coupled with the broader industry downturn, created a perfect storm. Boeing was forced to face a stark reality: the road to recovery would be long and difficult.